This is an interview style format. And Earl, I'll get us started with the first question. Please share with us why you decided to start Black Folks Camp 2 and a little bit about the work that you're doing.
Right on. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I think this is a pretty cool opportunity to share some great knowledge. And secondly, I could go all day and tell you guys why I started Black Folks Camp 2, but I'm going to get right down to it. I was an executive in the outdoor industry. One of the only Black executives in the RV industry, which is a $144 billion industry. And I left that industry because I saw that I was being one of the only Black executives around. I was always at all the conferences. Always, I kind of felt tokenish, to be honest with you, right? And I didn't want to feel that way. I wanted to be judged on my merit, on the merit of, advancing the company from $815,000 in sales to $17.5 million in sales in 4 years. That's what I wanted to be judged on in that particular space. And also, being a Black male who had never gone camping a day in my life before I got into the outdoor industry, and I understood the reasons why I didn't go. And the reason I didn't go is because of fear. I didn't have any knowledge, and I was never invited, to be frank with you. And so our company was started on those principles to help remove fear, add knowledge, and invite more Black folks to camp and enjoy the outdoor lifestyle with any and everyone. And so this is where we are. It's exciting. So it's almost 2 years, and we didn't create this company, Andrew, just for Black folks to go camping with Black folks, right? Because that would perpetuate what the industry looks like. We created this company to encourage Black folks to go camping with any and everyone. And that's why it's so important for us to have this conversation, because we're going to need everybody to join in to certainly make this happen. So thank you.
Earl, thank you. I'm going to ask just a quick follow-up question. I wonder if you could highlight for us one or two problems or challenges that you see in the United States and or abroad that relate to barriers for participation among minority groups in outdoor recreation and wilderness programs. What are a couple of the problems or challenges?
Yeah, so I don't, here's the thing, Andrew, I'm glad you asked me that question, because that's a really deep question. I don't think there are any problems. I think there are opportunities, right? I think there's some issues, but there's some opportunities. I think about it like that. Listen, at Black Folks Camp 2, we spend 20% of our time talking about the very reasons why Black folks don't go camping, or Black folks in the outdoors, or people of color in the outdoors. But we spend 80% of our time on how we're going to fix it, right? So let me just tell you this and shape this. This is very important. One of the biggest things in the outdoor industry, and why we haven't gotten this issue conquered yet, because the industry really didn't understand or didn't know why Black folks didn't go camping. Most industry folks, particularly 90% of the industry being white, thought that Black folks didn't go camping because we're scared of bugs, right? That might be the case, but if you know our culture, you know that we're cookout kings and grill kings. That's what we do. We're outdoors all the time, and those same bugs that are in the outdoors, in the cookouts, are the same bugs in the woods, right? In nature. The other thing is, the voices that were speaking for Black folks is that they just don't have any money, or they don't have any access. Those things are true. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, though, Black folks spend $1.5 trillion a year, right? We make up 14% of the population. The bottom line is the industry and the lifestyle never asked us to be involved. They never invited us. They never invited us with a welcoming arm. And then when they did invite us, which I've had a lot of conservancies, because they think that we're a group or a nonprofit or a club, and we're not. We're a marketing consultant firm helping the industry. When their conservancies and things of that nature, land trusts, have said this to me: Earl, we've really grown frustrated because we've invited so many Black folks to enjoy our beautiful lands, or these beautiful lands we preserve, but nobody will come. Well, the reason we won't come is because we have generational fear. We don't have any knowledge. And when you invite us, you invite us to come to a foreign place that we don't know, right? And so that's the biggest thing, understanding why we don't go camping and why we don't go trailing. Listen, Black folks are some of the most athletic people in the world. And no one said, well, Black folks don't trail run, they don't mountain bike, they don't kayak, they don't really ski. All the athletic things to do in the outdoors, we don't really do. And somebody, if anybody and everybody, should have said, that just doesn't make a lot of sense, instead of saying and dig deeper into the issue. And this is who we are as a company, helping the industry and companies and states and individuals understand the reasons why Black folks have not been in the outdoors.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl. One thing that you said, I wasn't invited. I love that you say that. That's convicting to me. There's a lot of people I haven't invited. Two, I also know I love when I am invited to, whether it's the party, the trip, the next adventure. I think the power of being invited, that's inspiring to me. And so thank you for saying that.
Right on.
Next question, and you've kind of touched on this. And so could you speak specifically to specific examples, why these problems are present in our industry today?
Well, the problem is because the industry is not educated, just like Black folks are not educated about the outdoors. Listen, we're the bridge between the industry. We feel like we're the bridge between the industry and Black folks and people of color. And by the way, before I say that, we're not the pioneers of this work. There are a lot of people, Black folks, white folks, green folks, Latino folks, everyone who've been doing this work, doing a lot of this work. We're not the pioneers. I want to show a lot of respect to those folks, right? Who've been out there doing it. The difference is though, and for me, for us, we're not a nonprofit. We're not a charity. We're not that group. We're industry professionals that happen to be Black, that know the industry, right? And so with us being said is that the industry, you know, to market to, it seems like the outdoor industry to market to Black folks feel like they're pandering, right? And I get it. They don't know what to say because they haven't had to say anything to us at all. They've been saying it to 90% of their customers, which is white. Look, I'm in the industry. I'm an ROI company. And by the way, ROI means to us, it means return on inclusion, right? I get it. Industry has to make money. So what you do, you spend 80% of your time on the customer that you already are dealing with. Well, that's one thing, and that's all well and good. But the problem is when you're dealing in the outdoor industry, you can't do that. And here's the reason why you can't do that is because 90% of the folks who are in the outdoor industry and the lifestyle are white, right? Basically, right? Well, we all pay for these public lands though. Black folks, white folks, Latinos, everyone pays for public lands. And so the industry itself, if they're using the public lands as their vehicle to sell their products, why wouldn't you want to sell your products to everybody who's paying for the land? You have to teach these folks, you have to teach us Black folks about the outdoor industry in a way that we understand it. And you haven't been able to do that because you don't have any Black folks on your staff. You don't have Black folks in the industry. You're not able to talk that talk and walk that walk. What you've been able to do is talk your talk to the people that you think to us, and we're kind of like not picking up what you're putting down because you hadn't talked about fear. You hadn't talked about the real generational fear that my great grandmother would tell my grandmother, would tell my mother, would tell me, don't go in those woods because the boogeyman is in those woods. And I gotta tell you this, and this is one of the hardest things I've had to do as a professional in this particular space, particularly because this space is predominantly white. And I have some friends, a ton of friends that are white. I've had to tell them based on our data, based on the data that we spent a ton of money getting, Black folks tend to be scared of white folks in the outdoors, right? And that's generationally, right? And that's hard to hear, but it will be just like this. And this is a very calm example that I want to share with you guys. Many of the people on this call are many of the white folks in America. I could not, if I invited you to the neighborhood I grew up in, because I'm a good times kid living a Huxtable lifestyle, right? If I invite you to my old neighborhood where I grew up in, which is the bricks, the hood, and I say, hey, meet me at the corner store, and I'll be there in about 15 minutes. Get out of your car, though, and stand by the store and wait on me now, right? That's just like asking Black folks to come to the trailhead and wait on you to go on the trail. We're not coming, because you're probably not coming to my old neighborhood, right? The difference is this, though. This is a very different situation. You don't own the corner store. Black folks own that public land. So it's the duty of the outdoor industry to learn the reasons why we don't go camping, learn the reason why we haven't been in the outdoors, and learn the reason why we hadn't been in the trail. Listen, this is not rocket science. We just have to stop having this kumbaya and get to it. And it's hard work. It's hard work, and we all have to do this, right?
Hard work it is. It's intimidating, it's daunting, but it's also exciting.
Listen, I don't, and this is the other thing is too, and this is very important for this conversation. Man, my job, our job is not to go around bashing the industry. That's not my job. That's not what I'm going to do. What we want to do is help the industry help us. They're Black during this COVID era. I dealt with COVID, man, and it damn near took my life, man. But I can remember this though, during the whole COVID era, or the height of it, or the early portions of it. Black folks, the outdoor industry boomed during COVID. I mean, boomed. RV dealers couldn't sell enough RVs. RV dealers couldn't keep $300,000 type RVs on the lot, right? Think about that, right? $300,000, $400,000 RVs, 20,000 RVs, $20,000 RVs, tents, out of control sales, right? Everything, bike industry gone. Industry just out of control in the outdoor industry. Well, if 90% of the white folks were able to enjoy the outdoor industry during a time when everybody wanted to get outside, can you imagine what Black folks were doing? Or people of color are doing who have no idea what the outdoor industry is? We were in our homes dealing with this pandemic in a way that we know how to deal with it, and it was chaos. Yet, think about this. We've been paying for these public lands that everybody else had the opportunity to enjoy because of their culture, because they knew about it. The more we know about it, the more we love the outdoors, the more we're going to take care of it, right? And that's what the outdoor industry really needs to focus on, right?
Thank you, Earl. I think it's important to, you've used the term outdoor industry a lot, right? That's a big term. What is the outdoor industry? We've got retail, we've got program providers, we've got service providers, we've got gear shops, bike rentals. I mean, the outdoor industry is we've got hunting, fishing, camping. We've got summer camps. It's a huge umbrella, right?
Huge. $880 billion huge umbrella, bigger than the car industry.
Yeah. Andrew, I'm going to pass it off to you for the next question.
Great. Earl, now that we have a sense for some of the challenges, or I like how you reframe things, opportunities for all of us, we're excited to start thinking about strategies and solutions. And I know you've been up to a lot with Black Folks Camp 2 and all the various initiatives. I wonder if you'd share with us a couple initiatives specifically that Black Folks Camp 2 has been engaged in recently.
Oh, absolutely, man. I'm proud of our company, man. And if you can't tell, I got a lot of passion about our company. I have a lot of company about this work. I'm a lot of passion about this work because listen, this is not a hobby for me. This is my career. This is my legacy. And my legacy has nothing to do with you guys or me. My legacy has to do with my children. There are a lot of Black folks who died, who have never experienced the outdoors in the way that other folks have, right? And I'd be damned if my children are going to not to experience the outdoors and their children, because I want them to be able to meet your children in the outdoors. So we can all have harmony around the campfire. So what we've done a lot, we work with a lot of different states. There are a lot of states, particularly my home state. I live in North Carolina, but my home state is South Carolina. And if you know kind of the history of South Carolina, it hadn't been the best history when it comes to Black folks. So when we had the opportunity to collaborate with South Carolina State Parks to officially invite Black folks into the outdoors, man, you gotta know I was so excited, right? And I wanted to make sure that people know that South Carolina, the state of South Carolina, they partnered with us to do an amazing RV tour with a 67-year-old South Carolinian who is Black, who is the head football coach at a HBCU, which is a historically Black college and university, This man has been in South Carolina all his life. He's the pillar of South Carolina, particularly as a black male. And he had never been camping. He had fears. He had no knowledge, and no one ever invited him. And here I am in 2020, a black male who is in the industry. I had to go invite this man, right? Which is great. That's amazing. But if I had not been in the industry, he wouldn't have been invited, right? He would have never been invited. He would have died probably not enjoying how beautiful this land is. By the way, you know what this quote was when we took this man out? He said he had the best night of sleep he had ever had in his life, right? In his life. Well, imagine how many other people out there have lost sleep, anxiety, and heart disease and diabetes, which goes rampant in the black community because they have not enjoyed the health aspect of the outdoors, right? We're working with North Carolina as well in the same capacity. We're doing some other things with Virginia. We have a client list of other outdoor industry folks that you guys are going to see some press releases on here in the next couple of days. We are doing all that we know how. But here's the thing, Andrew and Ryan and the rest. We can't do this by ourselves. Don't just be patting Black Folks Camp 2 on the back and saying, oh my God, they're doing some amazing work. You need to be doing some work too, right? You need to be doing some work too. And your work starts by helping us do this. Whenever you get the notion and you say to yourself, man, I just left that DEI meeting and I really don't know what to do. As a matter of fact, I don't even know why we had the meeting, because when we had the meeting last year, the same thing happened. We did nothing, right? Well, here's the thing you can do. This is very, very exciting. As the industry, if you're white or other, white, black, green, or yellow, it don't matter. We all have this same thing we have to do. If we know that the outdoors need more diversity and more inclusion, instead of waiting on other people to do it, right? Do it yourself. Go find some black friends and take them. Hell, if you don't have any black friends, it's the best time in America to find you some. And the same thing with black folks. I'm giving the same thing to black folks. I can no longer, as a black male, say that I'm the only one out in the outdoors. It's a shame, because I have black friends and I have to invite them too. And we've been doing that, right? We have to do this together. But here's the beautiful thing, Andrew, is that 0.8% of black folks are really in the outdoors. Well, it's far in between for me to find, for other black folks to find me, for us to change the narrative. So we're going to need the very same people who enjoy the outdoors the most to help us change the narrative, right? That's just kind of simple as that, right?
Earl, thank you. I appreciate you sharing with us both the work you all are doing and the things that we can be a part of. And the people on the screen today represent a lot of different programs, agencies, all with a passion for the use of the wilderness and the outdoors. And I'm going to pass it back to Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, before you ask that question, I got to just say this one thing, Andrew, is that one of the biggest initiatives that we have right now as a company, and I think I tell folks all the time, we may not be the smartest company in the world. We certainly don't claim that, but we don't think there's anybody out there smarter than we are when it comes to this whole making sure the outdoors is more diverse. Because we play chess and not checkers. For instance, we know that we can't, as a company, get millions of black folks out in the outdoors by just taking them out to beautiful Black Blossom and things of that nature. We know that they're beginners. We know that they're intermediate people, and we know they're experts, black folks that are doing this, but they're far in between. The way we're going to reach more is with our DEI, our Digital Education Initiative. This is where the dollars need to come from for us to tap into that, so people can see, black folks, people of color can see folks that look like them that are starting from the beginning of the elephant, so they can then become that through hiker. You just don't become a through hiker overnight. You just don't become an RVer overnight. You just don't go on a lot and say, hey, I've never seen this lot before. I ride past it. I've been riding past it for 30 years. Now I want to come over here. Let me go buy that motorhome over there. It has to have education behind this, right? Education. So Go ahead, Ron. I'm sorry to cut you off, boss.
No, this is great. I was trying to watch the chat a little bit, and we've got a great question. It ties in here, and then Ryan, I'll let you pick it back up. Erica asks, do you have advice for folks who live in super white communities? I'm in a small town in New Hampshire, and I think maybe there's uh, a tie-in here before we move on.
We do, and so we have a major solution coming. To be frank with you, and one of the best solutions you're going to ever see in your life. I promise you, when you see the solution that we're going to come up with, you're going to say, "Man, you know what? That guy said they weren't the smartest company in the world, but nobody's out there smarter than them, and we believe it." Right? So we have an amazing solution for that, and because we realize also that when you have these D&I trainings, right, you may get some meat or some plants, right? But the thing is that no one really tells anyone or says to anyone how to do it, right? But then when you do hear how to do it, many people are so intimidated on how to get it done, right? Because they don't want to say the wrong things. We get all that. That's why you hire us to come in and help you change that, right? But the biggest thing is this: I cannot expect you to change this on your own. We have to do this together. But you got to listen, though, right? We have to listen with compassion and empathy to know that just because you've been knowing the outdoors all your life, right, and something that looks foreign to you, even like a blaze on a tree, we don't know what that means. And by the way, I would be naive, and everyone on this call would be naive if what I'm saying refers to every Black person, because our company says Black folks camp too, and that means also the two means also and as well. So we know Black folks camp. So there's no need to go to all your Black friends and say, "Hey man, I heard this guy Earl on the call, and he said that he said that you're scared of me in the outdoors, and that, I don't understand why that is." And that person may say to you, "Well, I'm not scared of you in the outdoors." Well, in that case, then you should get them to go camping with you then, or get them to go trailing with you then, right? Get them to do all these things, because they're not going to tell you the real reason. Many times, the real reason why we're not going in the outdoors, because I didn't do it at first. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But when the 4-H club was coming to my neighborhood, picking me up and taking me to the outdoors just so I can pick up the trash in the outdoors and clean it up, but not teaching me about the outdoors. I mean, come on. These are the kind of things we have to make sure that it sounds all well and good to round up a bunch of Black folks and say, "That'd be a great idea for you to go learn how to do the trail and fix the trails." No, that's not a good idea. Yeah, we'll teach you at the same time. No, just teach us and then we'll do work later, right? Because right now what you want us to do work, and for the industry and for the lifestyle that we don't even enjoy.
Mm. Yeah. Earl, thank you. Ryan, back to you.
Well, I love it. We've got 5 minutes remaining, so I really want to focus on our guests, our attendees' questions as we wrap up. And I think if you keep these questions going, I believe that Earl is not the only voice that has wrestled with these things at our conference, right? There are many of you that are already experts in wrestling with these important topics. And so
absolutely,
discussions out there. Ask on the chat forums. Like, we need to keep this conversation going, and we need to move it from conversation to action. So I'm gonna go to one of our guests' question. Where should we as outdoor professionals start when it comes to trying to get Black people, and I'll say non-white people, involved, right? Is that something we should do by appealing to adults, children, families? Where's a starting point, or at least a tip?
Well, first of all, you got to get white folks involved too, right? This ain't just go get Black folks to go camping with Black folks. White folks have to get involved in this, because white folks actually are in the industry, and this is what you do. You're in the lifestyle. Listen, we created this company, and that super amazing logo right there is a campfire. The campfire is the oldest form of light, form of communication, form of heat, and source for food and all that kind of good stuff to preserve, to cook your food. Well, we believe the campfire is amazing. That's why we created this. This is the Unity Blaze. This blaze means treat everyone, everywhere, equally. It doesn't matter who you are, but we need to have this blaze. And the reason why we created the blaze, because we wanted people to feel comfortable in the outdoors. And so right now, a lot of Black folks don't feel comfortable in the outdoors. But if the people who are in the outdoors now, who some Black folks are afraid of, are actually donning the blaze or the sticker on their water bottles, on their cars, on all those places, right? Now, folks look at that, whether it be Black folks, white folks, green folks, gay folks, everybody. It doesn't matter. We treat everyone everywhere equally. Your gender, your age, your race doesn't matter. If we start treating people, we start in 2021, and whenever we start right now saying that within the industry, we change it because we're getting ready for the new people to come in, right? Hispanic folks are afraid too. Hell, you got white folks afraid to go in the outdoors, right? I mean, we can't move the pendulum so far to the left, so far to the right, where we start forgetting about people, right? And so, to answer that question, that first of all, we get paid to answer that question. That's number one, right? Number two, I would say to you is this is not a marathon. This is not a sprint, guys. This is a marathon, right? And again, we don't have all the answers. We just have the answers for us, right? And we have the answers to also give out to you. And we can certainly do that in a more condensed conversation. That's basically me telling you that we as a company, and we are a company, and we're a marketing company. We're a consulting company, and we're helping folks do that.
This is awesome, Earl. I wish we could keep the conversation going here. We've got a minute left to wrap up. And so I hope that this is just a catalyst for this conversation to continue. Please feel free to, reach out to us as an organization, challenge us. We are doing work. It's a lot of behind the scenes work right now as an organization. And like Earl said, this is a marathon. We are turning a Freightliner, and this is not a nimble sports car. This is years, decades and decades of culture that is changing. That doesn't happen.
But we're going to do it, Ryan. We have to do it. Lives depend on this, okay? Listen, find us at blackfolkscamp2.com. Follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, and all that kind of good stuff. Listen, I tell my staff, we're going to be the most delightful company in the industry, right? Delightful company in the industry. And look, you can say what you want to say about us or how we're going to get it done, but we're going to get it done with delightfulness. We're going to be stern. We're going to have some passion. We're not going to be bullies, and we're not going to let anybody bully us. What we're going to do is we're going to be very, very, very strategic in how we actually go about moving the needle to make sure that everyone, everywhere is treated equal in the outdoors.
And I just want to step in and say thanks again, Earl, thanks. Let's keep the conversation going. Check out Black Folks Camp 2, and to the 91, 92 folks on the screen, thanks for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in the other workshops today.
Well, thank you. I hope you enjoy yourself, guys, and I hope you have a great day, and I hope tomorrow is better for you.
All right, thanks,
Black
Earl.
Folks Camp 2.
Thanks, Earl.
Right on.
Thanks, Earl.
Thank you, Earl.
Right on.
Thanks, Earl.
Thank you.
Thank you, Earl.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, Earl.
Thank you, Earl. Thank you. Thanks.
Woo.
Thank you, Earl.
Hey, Earl.
Yes.
It's Gabe. Hey, so I actually run an outreach program in Central Texas in Waco. So I was really vibing with you the whole time and understand where you're coming from. So we need to connect sometime, because my whole thing is removing barriers to access the outdoors. And a big part of that's familiarity. And kind of how you said, like, they just don't know. No one's ever brought them out there, so they're not going to go do it. And yeah, I just thought it was really cool, and we definitely need to connect.
Right on, brother. Listen, I tell folks all the time, this is what I get a lot of times, particularly when we started Black Folks Camp too, is that the first word people see, particularly white folks, see the word black, and they assume that we're excluding folks. But actually, we're including everyone. We just use that word so we can attract Black folks, right?
Yeah.
And everything is in space. But the other thing is, though, is very important that Black folks fish, Black folks hunt, and all that kind of good stuff. The problem is, though, when it gets dark, is when we get out of there, because we've been conditioned in that space because we've heard about sundown towns and things of that nature. This is a lot of history that has to be changed, and this kind of history right here has to be talked about, and that right there has to be like, look, no eggshell walking. We got to get out of that. And people have to believe that stuff happened, because it did.
Yeah.
So we need to link up, man. I'm Earl at blackfolkscamp2.com.
Awesome.
What's good, Earl? My name is Eric. I'm from San Francisco right now. My question was like, how do you like move away from like that generational trauma? Because I know like I go to the outdoors, but you know, my friends, I'm like, hey, let's go on a hike. They will be like, nah, there's some white people stuff. And I'm like, what do you mean? Let's just go out, like, you know? And it's like, how do you start those conversations, especially like within our communities? Like,
yeah, you know, I get it all the time, man. I've been in the industry for 4 or 5 years. My friends, a lot of my friends are executives in other industry, and they're like, man, you're in the industry with white folks. I'm like, yeah, I am. And but let me explain to you why you need to be in the industry of the lifestyle, though, because basically you paying for other people's lifestyle, so you need to go enjoy this too. And so the thing is that I would suggest that you continue to educate the customer about the outdoors, or educate the person, right? Educate your friends. We're creating this digital education initiative where we're going to be showing from beginning to end what it means to be in the outdoors, what type of shoes to choose. What we have to start off a new generation of folks who want to join the outdoors in a way that you would actually talk to a baby when you're trying to teach them how to walk, right? Without insulting them and making them feel like they don't belong, right? You have to make people feel like they belong while you're teaching them, right? And even when they get so far gone, they feel like they don't need any more teaching. Everybody on this call knows that nature is different. And every experience you have in the outdoors, we all need to be learning. We all have gone. I just started backpacking a year and a half ago, but I was an RVer. But I know that many times backpacking, I knew I needed to get near some water and filter me some water. And there's some times when I've gotten off trail and that didn't happen. I'm like, whoa. So you have to continuously learn. But right now, what we have to do is when we're teaching babies in the lifestyle. Not that Black folks are babies, but we're babies when it comes to this industry, right? And so we have to you have to continue to share knowledge, educate,